taught on number system, order relations among numbers, representation of integers, etc. We always know what is the. Let's give a brief evolution of numbers. The first we started with the counting number, that is natural numbers. It was used for counting. Okay, counting numbers were depicted as 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, like this. This, then came the idea of zero, which helped to depict if there is nothing. Like for example, if I had three oranges, I ate three oranges, then I have zero oranges. So there is a placeholder to depict zero or nothing. Okay. So let us. Then came the whole number, which added zero to it. So this is called when we add zero to the natural numbers, we got the whole numbers. Then came the negative numbers. Asking people and seeking the answers. So what happens next? But what we count backwards. If we count forwards, we keep going to the right. If we count backwards, what will happen? So we got the negative number that is depicted by the red. So now where do we use it? Like by simply being less than zero, we have an example here. We define the 0 degree as the freezing point. Look, and below that we call the negative temperatures. So we know how the negative theory works, like negative cow. Think there is a common way of saying how negative numbers help. Think about you had two cows, you sold one. So you have a -1 cow. That is that is called in depth. You don't have a cow, but you sold two cows. Okay, you have a negative number. So likewise, the negative numbers came into picture. Then came the integers. Integers include, that is the one that includes negative one, the positive numbers. In this case, you can see negative. Started counting the negative numbers to list either direction, infinity to positive. Okay. Then came the fractions, how to divide single into two, like you have an orange and you just split it into two. So that's how the fraction came into being. For example, you have four biscuits and needed to share them among three people. Then how much each one would get? Each one would get 4 by 3 biscuits. So that kind of a new number came into being. So a new type of number and a new this thing is rational numbers. Any number can be written as a fraction is called a rational number. That is any number which can be written in fraction, where represented as p bar by q, where p and q are integers. So remember we talked about integers, they are all rational numbers. Integers are the negative and the positive numbers we saw there. If p is 3 and q is 2, then p by 2, q is 3 by 2, that is 1.5. 1.5 is a rational number. Only time this doesn't work is if q is equal to 0. That is when you divide by 0. Because dividing by 0 is not allowed in mathematics. The last one is called the rational number can be defined like this, where p by q, where p and q are integers. Q is not when q is not equal to 0. So half is a rational number, 2 is a rational number also, because you could write 2 by 1. So all integers and all fractions, even a number like 13.316890 is a natural number because it is finite. You know? But there is more. It's not only that. So we had the irrational number. That is when you have a Pythagoras theorem. If you have a square of unit 1 on either side, what would be the diagonal? So diagonal is going to be depicted like this. So it comes as square root of 2. Pythagoras is right. So square root of 2 is not a real. rational number. That is, it cannot be depicted as a repeating number and not in a proper fraction. So it's called a irrational number. Square 2 is an irrational number like pi, circumference. I mean, the pi is a very famous irrational number, etc. So then that's another name. So we have to include the irrational numbers. So real numbers include what? The rational and the irrational numbers. So in fact, a real number can be thought of as any point where the on the number line. So you take a number line. Okay, everything on the number line is a real number. 1.5 is 1.02, even minus 1.72, 2.24, 3.96, etc. Okay, everything is a irrational number. For example, if zero point 0.2, zero point 0.1, zero point 0.8. Okay, you click anywhere, every number is a irrational number here. Okay, any point on the number line is enough. Then there is a negative square root, which is called imaginary number. We call that I equal to root of minus 1 because it cannot be represented in the number line. So imaginary numbers are used in complex numbers. So real numbers and complex numbers, we'll talk about it later.